Another day and another outlet naming an inside linebacker for the Pittsburgh Steelers in late free agency, a landing spot to add to a mixed bag of old and new for the Steelers. But it doesn't fit their plan. And a plan that they've had this entire time. And a plan that's not going to change now. What's going on, everybody? I'm Noah Strackbine. Thank you for jumping on to Steelers to Go, your daily to-go cup of Pittsburgh Steelers news and analysis. Find us on youtube.com/All Steelers Talk and subscribe anywhere you get your podcast. And today, we're talking about the inside linebacker room and another addition that is believed to be a landing spot in Pittsburgh. And that is, well, the latest name being Rashaan Evans, a former Tennessee Titans, Jacksonville Jaguar, Atlanta Falcon. Pro Football Focus says that he is the next addition to the Pittsburgh Steelers defense. Quote unquote, the Steelers have rotated through a handful of former highly drafted off-ball linebackers over the past few seasons and follow a similar idea here with the 2018 first rounder. Evans is coming off a career high in 1,104 snaps, 46 defensive stops, and 110 tackles while missing only 7.3 of opportunities in 2022. Free agency addition Cole Holcomb is primarily a Mike linebacker, but has experience at the will spot, which is also the situation with Evans, who was taken in the first round of the 2018 after a stellar Alabama career, generally lining up on the weak side. Look at Rashaan Evans, in my opinion, is a great inside linebacker. He adds a lot of quality in the run support and is exactly what the Pittsburgh Steelers would be looking for if this was old school football. But it's been a minute, and the Pittsburgh Steelers have realized and have tried very, very hard to turn away from the Steelers of old at the inside linebacker position. Now, when it comes to off-ball linebacker, they're looking for athleticism. They're looking for pass coverage. They are looking for somebody who could stand out there and cover tight ends and that third wide receiver from time to time and a running back. They have thumpers. They've had thumpers. And their plan for inside linebacker has not changed this entire offseason, and it has been the same since well before the NFL draft. They knew how they were going to approach the position, and they've done so in the exact fashion that they laid out for us. Coming into the offseason, the Pittsburgh Steelers looked at this and said, okay, we need additions. We can't rely on Robert Spillane and Devin Bush and Miles Jack for another year. They didn't do enough. They didn't set the bar high enough. They didn't meet the standard. So you get rid of Devin Bush, you let him walk in free agency. And I guess if I had to predict, there was little chance he was coming back, even if the Steelers did offer him a contract. On top of that, Robert Spillane goes to Vegas. A bit of a surprising move because the Pittsburgh Steelers genuinely loved this guy. They allowed him to do a lot of different things. They asked him to be in a lot of different spots. Really, if I had to pick one of the three that was returning, my guess would have been Robert Spillane, but instead, he's gone. Then they decided they were going to release Miles Jack, and they are to add Cole Holcomb and a Landon Roberts. And now everybody's sitting around going, well, there's got to be more. There's got to be more. There's got to be more. There's not. The Steelers might add another inside linebacker, but it won't come until late training camp. And it won't come if their circumstances and how they see this offseason playing out and how they see the summer playing out fall into place. If their plan of action works, there will be no more signings at inside linebacker. If their plan of action does not work, and they'll know that by the middle of July, then late July, early August, then at that point, they'll go out and they'll add some veterans somewhere, or they'll make some trades somewhere, and they'll go from there. But their starting point, where they are right now, is exactly where they wanted to be coming into this offseason. The Steelers looked at this as an opportunity to test Mark Robinson. That's where this whole thing starts, is they knew that he wasn't a starter and that he couldn't be thrust into a starting role, and relied on that heavily in year two after playing just a couple of games as a rookie. He was a 7th-round pick a year ago, and the guy clearly has a lot of work to do. I mean, he has no pass coverage ability, and he's still a very raw inside linebacker after converting from running back at Ole Miss. So you know that you're working with a product that you have to mold into something, but they want the opportunity to mold that into something. They look at Mark Robinson as a guy that could come in here and be a thumper, be that hard hitting run stuffer who just loves to run up the middle and smack somebody in the tooth. And that's what the Steelers absolutely love about inside linebackers. And it's what they're going to adore about Mark Robinson for years to come. That's part one. They want Mark Robinson to be a guy, that third guy. They think that's where he fits perfectly. Doesn't have too much responsibility, isn't a 3-down linebacker, isn't looked at to cover almost at all, just blitz and run stuff and enjoy hitting people and be a thumper. That's how they look at Mark Robinson. And that plan has not changed. I mean, those reports came out months ago, and then those follow-ups came out months ago. And the last I talked to anybody during the NFL draft about the situation, I was told personally they want Mark Robinson to be a guy. They want to see what they have in Mark Robinson. So no, they will not go out and sign someone and say, hey, Mark, you are now the fourth. And they are not going to sign a guy like Rashaan Evans to be a fourth. They're not going to sign a Miles Jack to be a fourth. It's the same argument as Kyle Van Noy. You're not going to bring a veteran in who's coming off a playing season, a starting season, and say, hey, you are now only playing 15 snaps a game. That's not what these guys are looking for. And they'll get better opportunities than the Pittsburgh Steelers in being a fourth string linebacker. And that's okay. Doesn't work out for either side, but it doesn't make sense for either side. On top of that, Cole Holcomb is supposed to be that 3-down guy. They look at him and say, hey, he could be a field general. He could be the coverage linebacker. He's athletic enough. Hopefully everything works out for the best. And they have a guy in Cole Holcomb who could be a long-term field general and be that starting quality inside linebacker. That's how they view him. They took a shot on him, much like they did Miles Jack a year ago, to say, hey, come in and prove yourself as that guy in the middle. I think Holcomb brings a little bit more upside than Miles Jack did just because he's more athletic, and I think that he could provide actual pass coverage ability. If that works out, their plan is perfect. And then a Landon Roberts is supposed to be the Robert Spillane, the Devin Bush, the Miles Jack, the just punch somebody in the mouth type of football player. That's all they're looking for. They don't need a bunch of inside linebackers who could cover. They just need one, and they think they have them in Cole Holcomb. So, at what point during the summer would they go out and actually make a move for an inside linebacker? Well, it would come August, late July, early August. You got to be 2, maybe 3 weeks into training camp. You have to realize that Mark Robinson is not good enough to be a number 3 yet, and that he still has plenty of development ahead of him, and that he's just going to hold this defense back if he plays too many snaps. I'm not saying that that's what's going to happen. I'm just saying that at that moment, the Steelers would say, okay, let's try to make a move. If a Landon Roberts just has fallen off the face of the earth and at 30 years old, it's come and gone and his career is, quickly entering the end of it, the last loop, maybe they go out and they make a move and they get rid of a Landon Roberts. I've seen it before. I could see it again. Cole Holcomb, I don't have expectations to be bad. And because of that, I don't think that the Steelers are looking at it like that either. And then you say, oh, well, Nick Herbig's an opportunity or has an opportunity too. And, what about this other guy? And what are you going to do if somebody goes down? I get it all. But I think Nick Herbig can play some off-ball linebacker. I don't think the Steelers are going to utilize him there much. I think they're going to utilize him at the edge a lot and then maybe use him as an off-ball. Maybe. But I have very, very low expectations to see him playing inside linebacker anytime soon. Tanner Muse is a guy that they brought in here to replace Marcus Allen and all those guys who have come and gone playing special teams and just be that special teams ace, be that fourth inside linebacker. I expect him to have some role to be a backup. If a desperation situation arises and the Steelers are looking at this and going, we really, really need somebody to step up because we have injuries. Tanner Muse is a guy that has some experience. I think he's a better option than you would have if Marcus Allen was on the depth chart. And because of that, I think they feel comfortable. But that's where the Steelers are. They feel comfortable. They followed their plan. Their plan worked well, and we'll see what happens from here. But that inside linebacker room is full. Maybe a small addition. maybe a really, really low chance to make the roster addition to play behind Tanner Muse and kind of shock the world. But I got a hard time believing that this team has any interest in the free agency pool with big names. And I think that they're going to keep it that way until somebody shows them they have to go make a move.